house, really low-end housing. This was an area of pretty much tenements and wood frame houses and shacks that had been a mixed Irish, Italian, and African American slum, if you want. Looked something, let's say, like this. Here's an example of what the area might have looked like in the 30s. I think there are Bernice Abbott photographs. So the whole area was raised for the project, okay? The whole area was designated as slum, and it was an early example of slum clearance. To build these houses, but there were already services here for the population that was here. Those services were the church right here, the Church of St. Michael and St. Edward's, Catholic church that was built for the Italian population because the early Catholics of Brooklyn were mostly German and the Italians couldn't stand them. And they frequently, even if there was a church nearby, they built their own. This was from around 1900 to 1910, I think it was built. It's a really interesting and peculiar building. It has a haunted quality. They should use it on Halloween. And it really is haunted because it's been closed for, I think, 30 years. And in its last years, the ceiling is falling in. It can't be opened or used. In its last years, the church had its services in the basement because it was too dangerous. The interior looked like this, and they did manage in the 70s, which was the last major years of it. They put in a cross. The cross that's over the altar is made from cross beams of the steel beams of the elevated when it was torn down. The church, this used to be a street here, so the church was on an SO triangle. And there was a school here, not this building. This is the second or third or fourth iteration of this school. The school is known as the Charles Dorsey School. Charles Dorsey was the principal here following the Civil War. The school was actually founded as a private school by free African Americans in Dumbo in the around 1800. It grew up as a school and moved into this area when Brooklyn became a city and had its own school system. It was a segregated system, and this was designated Colored School Number 1. Okay, as Colored School Number 1. After the Civil War, Charles Dorsey, who was a Fort Greene resident, became the principal and was principal for at least 30 years. But he had led the school actually through the Civil War, and it was a center of abolitionist activity during the war. Not this building, again, this building's from the 30s. And there was a very famous young teacher who was part of the school. Her name was Maricha Lyons, and Maricha has her own story. Maricha Lyons was born in Manhattan of a fairly well-to-do African-American family that had a mansion on this southwest area of Washington Square, and the house was burned down during the Civil War riots in New York in 1863. The family fled to Providence, Rhode Island, and she was a young girl then, a child. They fled to Providence, Rhode Island. She was very talented, and she went to elementary school. When she wanted to go to high school, the high schools in Providence, Rhode Island were not available to African Americans. And the family sued. They were well-to-do. They sued, and they won in the Supreme Court of Providence, Rhode Island. So she broke the color line in Rhode Island and completed high school, completed normal school, and came to Brooklyn where she became a teacher. And she taught for most of her entire career here in Colored School Number 1, which PS 67, I believe, of the Brooklyn system, and then it's now known as the Charles Dorsey School. This building was built in the 30s as part of the great second wave of great New York City school buildings, but usually what they did, it has a huge parking lot behind it. That means the original school, big one, was on the parking lot. They tore that down, and this would have been the playground and parking lot, and they built this here, and then the old school was demolished. All right, so we have the school. The school was here long before the houses, so was the church, and so is this wonderful little building here. This is the Walt Whitman branch of the Brooklyn Library. This is a Carnegie Library from, I think, 1905. Carnegie funded about 40 small libraries in Brooklyn. He funded libraries all around. And the rule of a Carnegie Library is it has to be a freestanding building, and it has to be landscaped, and it has to be near a school. So it meets all the requirements. I think it's the smallest of the Carnegie Libraries. It's like a one-room schoolhouse. It's a very dear, wonderful library. The original collection comes from a storefront on Myrtle Avenue, and it's because libraries were in storefronts that Carnegie insisted that they have to be independent buildings. There's just been a multi-million-dollar grant approved for restoration of the library. Not restoration so much as modernization and adding more computers and so on. But it's a great little place, functions really well, serves the school, serves the community around. But when they decided to demolish the whole area for the Fort Greene houses, as they would be known, this is what it ended up looking like. The church, for example, and the library and the school were just standing around. It looks like a total bombed out area. This is another view of it from, I guess maybe from the park. But so they built the houses. The houses were a huge project. This is the Fort Greene houses in 1942. These were built with funding from the government. They commissioned the architects who did, a team of architects from New York, mostly that had been involved in building Rockefeller Center in the 30s, were the ones who designed these houses. And they were an incredible innovation. First of all, they were airy in the largest sense. They were fully landscaped. So there's marvelous landscaping. There's all kinds of park-like walks through them. And they were built in such a way that every room had windows. They had bathrooms and kitchens inside with running water. The fact that they promoted that tells you kind of what the area was like before that. Abraham and Strauss is here saying, we've put your name on our mailing list. You can come over. It's a whole new city was being built. They say you can bicycle over to get furniture. They had unique layouts. One of the other features was that the wall